Gale nearly got a flick on that.
Can he put it into the path of Latterlane? He's thinking about going himself. Latterlane, and Latterlane! Oh, that's a wonderful goal!
Now on to Benjamin. Just holding off of Benjamin, twisting, turning, that's
It's Liam Henderson to deliver. David Gray has scored.
Hello and welcome back to Down the Slope. I am joined once again by Craig and Harry, who I had the pleasure of watching Hibs go 5 games unbeaten with on Saturday. Craig, how are you this evening? Sorry.
I'm all good, mate. I'm all good. Hibs are doing their best to make me not good, but we're here.
We are here, Harry. We are here. We'll maybe just confirm this now. We are here tonight. We won't be here next Monday in the international break. We'll be taking a week off. But how are you this evening, my friend?
Mate, I'm excited. We've got a lot of action to talk about. I think this is going to be a great episode. It's going to be great.
Yeah, do you know, Hibs are really making our job easy for us. I think, you know, over the last 2 weeks, for the second week in a row, having no goals to talk about is just exactly what you want as a podcast. But yeah, look, it's one of them, innit? You know, like you've went away to the team directly above you in the league, and you just come away from it feeling a little bit meh. Was that sort of your how was that how that felt on your journey home back through East?
It was a wee bit safety Sam the entire game, I thought. Maybe if you take a step back and look at the result in isolation, it's probably not that bad. If you take our kind of position out of it and the last couple of games out of it, it maybe actually is quite an okay result in the grand scheme of things. But I think probably us really needing a win to really have a properly decent chance at fourth, that maybe made it feel a bit more meh.
That was an interesting one. We'll maybe come on to that a little bit once we spoke about the game, which I can't imagine will take us too long, Harry. I know you don't have an overload of thoughts on the game, but well, look, let's just go straight to the start. The team lineup: Martin Boyle came back in up front. A couple other changes in there as well. Obviously, Jordan Obita came in at left centre back. I think I said a couple of changes actually. That was it. It was 2 changes. Jordan Obita into left centre back for Jack Iredale, and Martin Boyle up front in place of Owen Eldon, which probably 2 genuine surprises.
I think last week I said that I wanted to see Boyle come back in, but I preferred to have Eldon on instead of Shuto, just because I think Shuto's done his best work for us so far off the bench. Boyle didn't really back me up. Don't think he was particularly good. He wasn't overly involved in the game, but the tactic of give the ball to Solinger, ping it up to Shuto relentlessly for 60 minutes, it was pretty hard for Boyle to actually be involved in the match. And I was surprised that I see Iredale and Obita as quite interchangeable, so I didn't mind the change. I was just surprised to see it. I just didn't expect Gray to change anything at the back after the last couple of performances.
Yeah, obviously keeping a clean sheet, albeit against Livingston. Craig, were you surprised that Obita came in? And the reason I'm asking you that is just that last week you really highlighted that you felt the sort of wide areas where Hibs would have success, or maybe even, the game was going to be won and lost in the wide areas is sort of what you suggested. So did you have any inclination maybe that you thought Obita was going to come in as a more maybe attacking option, or?
No, I didn't. I actually thought we would stick with Iredale, to be honest. I was probably more, in fact, I was definitely more surprised to see Obita in there than Boyle coming in, to be honest. I feel like Boyle still definitely seen as a first team starter. Even with the new guys, I think he's definitely, I don't think it's particularly surprised to see him come back in. Obviously, Obita is still seen as that, but definitely left centre half. I think it's maybe a wee bit of a shock. If I was seeing him coming in, I would have expected Nicky Cadden to drop out and Obita go there. Maybe if he was looking for a bit more defensive solidity down the left. So yeah, that was a surprise. Wasn't overly enamoured with his performance. I don't think he was bad, but I just didn't. I thought he played a wee bit with the handbrake on at times.
Yeah, we commented on that at the game, didn't we? I actually thought Obita did struggle a little bit at points in the game. Even to be honest, we'll probably skip straight through to the disallowed goal because I don't really think anything had happened in the game to that point anyway. But I think he kind of got caught on it, didn't he? And that sort of in the lead up to this, like the ball then eventually broke out to Boyle, who then got caught on it as well. And it was actually Obita that was almost playing the guy on side as well, you know. Now I wouldn't necessarily criticise players for things almost going against them, you know. I don't think that's fair. But J-Star has mentioned there, he was so confused how Obita walked back into the team, and as he thinks like Jack Iredale and Nicky Cadden together offer more, and thought we missed Jack Iredale. Do you think? I can only assume that J-Star means that maybe in terms of like actually progressing with the ball, as opposed to defensively. Obviously, we kept a clean sheet. Although J-Star's followed up actually that around the 23-minute mark, he had a nightmare and Rocky saved him. Do you think, was there anything like around that change that you thought really negatively impacted the team, or?
No, as I say, like I just don't really see them as that different. Like I think they're both left-sided players that kind of fit the mold of the left wing back that we kind of have in our system, or left-sided centre back. So for me, I don't really think there's that much of a difference. I think form-wise, with like when they're both hot, they're just both better players. But yeah, I actually thought Iredale was quite good last game. That was my main reason. So I understand J-Star's point of view for saying that maybe we could have done something better. And I think that Obita was particularly guilty of being wasteful in possession. Like there was a lot of times you were particularly getting frustrated with it when he just didn't seem to be communicating well with the forwards at all.
I just thought he was quite safe. I just thought like a lot, like Craig mentioned earlier, maybe the whole performance was a bit safe. And look, to be honest, I think both teams would probably come away. I think the stats show exactly sort of what we thought, a pretty balanced game. I think both teams had 7 shots. Maybe Motherwell had 1 or 2 shots more on target as the XG was super low. But I just felt in particular Jordan Obita was quite safe on the ball at the weekend. Sort of refused a lot of passes into sort of Chibla and Barlaser at different points, you know, maybe where maybe just chose to play the sort of 5-yard pass up the line to Nicky Cadden or back inside to Rocky, that I think at times just played us into a little bit more pressure. And like I think when you're playing a team like Motherwell that want to press you and kind of go man for man across the pitch, to play through the press you have to play into it. Does that make? Do you know what I mean? You have to find your man, and like there was a couple of instances in the first half where we done it really well, and we actually got out. I think you'll remember maybe where Chibla got it sort of deep inside the half and played a lovely outside the foot pass, and we got out and we got down the side. Yeah, I just thought Obita didn't have his best game, but so it's his first game I think since St Mirren at home. You know, sort of 5-6 weeks ago as well. So you know, there's no, it's no mad criticism. And
do you not also, sorry, and do you not think it's quite difficult to discern, certainly with the way Obita played at the weekend, what is tactical instructions and what is just him maybe playing within himself a wee bit, because you can't really tell. Because you could have been told, don't bomb forward, don't make the overlapping runs, because we've seen with Iredale in that position. Looking at it normally, you would think, oh, Obita's definitely more attacking because he tends to play wing back. But recently we've seen when Iredale's been playing in that left centre half role, he's been making a lot of overlapping runs past Nicky Cadden or whoever it is that's playing left wing back. And I just don't think we've seen that from Obita at the weekend. So I'm like, is that him or is that tactic? Because I would normally expect him to be a bit more advanced than he was.
You would, yeah, and you would expect of the two that Obita would be the more like progressive option. I do wonder if a factor was as well that Nicky Cadden and Jack Iredale had an absolute horrendous like half hour, 40 minutes against Motherwell in the first half in November. And then Nicky Cadden, I don't think, was fit for the game at Easter Road. I think Jamie McGrath played at left wing back in front of Iredale. So I wonder as well if there was just, you know, maybe a little bit more pace, maybe, you know, just like David Gray just felt that Jordan Obita was a better fit. And again, I think first and foremost, you've got to judge defenders on defending, you know, and ultimately throughout the game, Motherwell didn't really create much. So I would struggle to say that any of the back three played poorly. You know, that's the thing. And I think, and yeah, so like I totally think that, I totally think that Jordan Obita done fine. I just thought, yeah, I think you're right, Craig, what you said at the start. Like just played with the safety on a little bit. Is there anything from the first half that you guys like really want to address. Obviously, the disallowed goal from Motherwell was sort of the highlight of, I suppose, but it was a little bit of a non-event, I thought, in the first half, really.
Yeah, it was. Mate, how much can you talk about a 0-0 in a boring half?
Sorry, the disallowed goal is probably the highlight. It's got to be the most tragic football game ever.
I know, like.
Yeah, I walked in. I was slightly late. When I walked in, the shutters for the downstairs bit was up, so I went and sat in the bottom section. And then the stewards were absolutely livid. And I was like, no, they told me I could sit here. It was all right. And then they started getting mega fucking fuming. But then everybody wasn't really for moving. And I'm normally nice, but I was like, when the ball goes out, I'll go up the stairs. And the guy was like, you'll go up the stairs now. And I was like, mate, let's calm down. He started putting hands on me and that. I was like, mate, I'm going up the stairs. Let's just behave. It's Hibs v Motherwell.
I'm guessing
so that was my highlight of the first half.
I'm guessing that's what was going on at half time as well.
No, there's a lot of commotion,
who was it? Jane, I think, in the chat. Shout out Jane in our WhatsApp chat. I think she said that some numpty jumped to the bottom tier, and when fans like to square up with fans on the other end. I think someone like one of the Block 7 peeps went down to the bottom and started.
Well, fucking climbed down the fucking.
I think that was implied. As I say, this is complete. I read it somewhere, and I'm now saying it as if it's fact. But I think that's what happened. So Jane or anybody else that is aware of what happened in that situation, I think someone ended up in the bottom tier, and then obviously the stewards were like, "Dude, fuck you off." So yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, so yeah, nothing more to say really on the first half. If we did enjoy around that, Boyle getting an absolute hammering for nearly costing us a goal. But I mean, actually watching the game back, I actually think Boyle this one loose touch. I thought actually at the game it looked a million times worse than what it was. I thought he had taken 2 or 3 touches and tried to skin the boy, but he kind of took one touch and the boy was right on him. It obviously doesn't look great the way it goes. At the end of the day, just was offside, so it doesn't really matter. Hibs didn't really threaten much in the first half. We got in behind a couple of times, and
one thing that's positive for the first half that we've not mentioned. Everybody keeps going on about Maswanese is the greatest player in the world. Rocky's bitch. Rocky absolutely dominated him. He couldn't do anything against Rocky. Big up the big man. He got dominated.
Spent a lot of time on the floor, didn't he?
It was so embarrassing. I know players obviously want to try and get people booked, but there needs to be something brought in to punish players when they do it to that extent. If you start booking them the third time they go down, they'll go down again the rest of the game.
As you know, Harry, it winds me right up this notion in football that the referee's always the villain and it's always the referee's fault. When Rocky goes over to get the ball off Maswanise and he throws himself to the deck, writhing around in pain because Rocky's literally touched him. And then I was saying to you, Pete, at the game, if the referee goes over and sends Rocky off, then everybody calls the referee the idiot. And nobody talks about Maswanise, the guy that's dived to con the referee. Because that's what these guys are doing. They're trying to con the referee. And I'd love to see, even against Hibs players, because you've got to be unbiased with all that stuff. Let's be a bit harder on it. Give the referees a bit more license to book players and encourage them to punish players when they're taking the piss, ultimately. And they're grown men. Get a grip.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of chat in the comments still about sort of Obita and Iredale versus who should have played, who shouldn't have played, and I don't know. We kept a clean sheet, so I just struggle to get that arsed about a change in the back three. I think if it had cost us goals, I don't see personally what Jack Iredale would have given us going forward. I did see a suggestion that Warren O'Hora was our most effective attacking outlet on Saturday. I think maybe Hibs Observer potentially tweeted a graph that suggested that, which I thought was interesting. But I do want to shout out
on that point, though. I think that what do you call it? Their manager, I'm not even going to attempt his name. He says that he intentionally lets certain players have the ball. So if O'Hora was getting in positions, then I don't know if that would be purely down to. And what did O'Hora do? What did O'Hora do?
He found himself on the ball. He found himself on the ball. Yeah, but he found himself in their box on numerous occasions. I don't think a manager is going, all right, lads, it doesn't matter. If he gets the ball in our box, It's fine. Do you know what I
If
mean?
Findlay, if Findlay for Hearts is on the ball in our box, I'm the worst. Like, what's he going to do with it? Like, what did O'Hara do with
Harry,
it?
He's scored a lot of goals from inside the box.
Yeah, from corners getting whipped
Harry,
in, over the ball at his feet.
I get the point you're making. Like, I think but it's different saying, like, you know, if a centre back, I think he mentioned it about Hanley, didn't he, in the last game? Like saying like it's fine, but that's more like saying like he's not our trigger to press. It's totally different when a centre back's making a fucking underlap and running, because like he did all like O'Hara was there was that period in this in the second half where he very much was involved in the in the play and in the build up and stuff. And I think him and Pasak had a period where they linked up very well. But yeah, anyway, let's move on to the second half. But before that, I do want to shout out Kev. Kev came up and spoke to myself and Craig before the game, so it was lovely to meet you, Kev. So great to speak to you and Craig at Motherwell. YouTube doesn't do your boyish good looks. No, you're right, it doesn't. And then funny game. Never felt like losing, but never felt we could win. That probably does sum up the game as a whole. I never felt in too much danger of losing the game, but also probably after a little sort of flurry at the start of the second half, never thought we were probably going to score either, Craig. The game did open up for probably the first sort of 15 minutes or so of the second half, though. Masvinisi had a really good chance and Jamie McGrath had a good chance. Schutel had a half chance. I personally felt Hibs were on top at the start of the second half. What did you think?
I would feel the same. I thought we probably slightly edged the game. If I was to pick one, I still think you can say that, but a result is a draw is a fair result. But mate, I think it's a difficult one to call either way. To be fair, I would agree with what Kev says that it never really felt like we were going to win the game. I think maybe we had a couple of chances that we could have done better with, and maybe then it turned well. If you score, it's a different game. No, it's quite a forgettable one, to be fair. I'm toiling on stretching out any points here, mate. So
I mean, well, Harry, you went into our WhatsApp chat this morning or this afternoon and asked for talking points from everyone, and you referenced that my smear campaign against Jamie McGrath will continue, and Craig will bandwagon, and there are other things to talk about.
You can't get shit when you're literally taking my talking points onto the podcast.
But I'm just using that as a wee transition onto what I feel like again. Now, I know Josh Campbell's like in terms of chances created, Jamie McGrath missed our best chance of the game again, and that probably for me was the opportunity to win the game. And I suppose the disappointing thing though is that's you're playing 90 minutes of football and you've only got one chance.
He's raging. He doesn't even want to respond to it.
I'm just with you now. I think that Jamie McGrath should stop getting in goal scoring opportunities. I think we should have had zero chances. The thing is, I actually tried to watch it back and it wasn't anywhere. Like,
yeah, it wasn't even in the highlights.
I just don't think it was like. I think at the time it looked bad, but my initial reaction, I don't think it was as bad as you make it out. To be honest,
if you're not getting a shot,
I think it was a bad. It was a bad.
I did get a shot away. It got blocked though.
It's an awful first. If he takes just hit with your left foot. Like, you're a very good football player. Just use your weak foot. He tries to manipulate the ball in his body to get on his right foot and brings the defender in. If he hits it with his left foot, he's 8 yards from goal. Like he is like it was the best chance of the game. Like, and for both teams, and this isn't a criticism. I was just referencing that's the best chance of the game. But for me, the disappointing thing is that you play 90 minutes of football, and that is your one chance. Like, I know Motherwell have had a lot of credit, Craig, and that I think you mentioned it earlier in the episode. Like, maybe if you've beat Livy the week before, the point doesn't feel so bad. But in a game that kind of felt a little bit must win, to only create one really good chance is disappointing.
I feel like we maybe had more than one decent chance, to be fair. O'Hara had a header. Boyles had a volley.
I did say really good chance. Actually, yeah.
Did you not say that's a really good chance, the O'Hara header at the corner?
In the first half?
No, it's in the second, mate. It's in the second when he flashes it right across the far post.
Oh, Right, aye. No, I don't know. Like, I think it's like
And
that's
then the
similar,
Boyle
just like-
volley as well.
The Boyle volley, I think, is a half chance. You know, he takes it well, but they'll hold a header flashing across. I don't know. I think it's important. He gets first contact. My thing for that would be that there should be someone probably gambling at the back post.
Yeah. Look, see, the thing is, ultimately, I agree with you. I'm kind of a bit sick of football in general. Than now, I just want to see more players running with a ball and taking a shot. Like, see when we're 20 to 30 yards for a goal. Why more often are we not just hitting it? Just have a go. I feel like there's a perception at the moment in football. You need to try and score perfect goals and ticky-taka the ball to the byline and then get a cutback or something or a cross. Why are we not just smacking it? What the fuck are you sniffing?
What the fuck are you doing?
I was just having some fun, guys. It's all right.
Are you sniffing fake plants?
I think what you're talking about.
That's great listening. That's great listening.
Sorry, Craig, continue.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm a massive advocate. Can we please just encourage footballers to run forward with the ball at speed and shoot more often? Because I'm bored of seeing such little shots in a game. I think we should be coming out more games with more shots and more just fuck it, just have a shot, man. We've tried playing around this team for 85 minutes or whatever. Let's just start pinging shots, but do it early in the game.
Craig, you referenced at the game that you felt we were trying to force the ball wide, and I mean specifically to the left side. In the second half, we probably got better at utilising both sides, but you felt we were trying to force the ball too wide too quickly. Like, and you referenced at Celtic Park that what we've done was we actually utilised Chaiwa and Barlasser really well, to sort of beat Celtic in the middle of the pitch on maybe in our own half, and then then get wide once you're past that initial press. What did you think was different at the weekend?
I mean, to be honest, at Celtic Park, I thought we'd done that for the first 25, 30 minutes, found success out of it, and scored a goal, and then went back to putting it straight out to the wing backs again. And to be honest, I feel like it's something we've done too often this season. I think it makes us a bit predictable because we tend to play from our centre halves, knock it about the back for a bit, then it'll go to a wide area and inevitably just get shelled down the line from either the wing back or quite often either sided centre half. And you've seen that a lot with Abita, where he was playing channel balls. I remember one in the second half where it was so obvious that he needed to play to feet, and he just played it right into the channel and gave I can't remember who it was, maybe Elding at that stage, just nothing to go on. And I feel we're guilty of making ourselves a bit predictable. I know I've seen J-Star earlier using the word predictable in the chat, and I feel like it would be quite easy to read us at the moment and quite easy to transition across to us. I think we need to maybe try and mix it up a bit more. And like I say, just something that I've noticed at the games, like when we play through the middle and try and play about with it in a different area and then put it out to our wide areas, because we are definitely strong. We've now got Paslak, who seems to offer good quality up and down the right hand side, and then obviously we'll know what Nicky Caddington can do. But sometimes I feel that we're forcing it a bit too much, and we're making it too obvious that that's what our plan is. So I'd like to see us just maybe not go to it as often, so that when we do go to it, it's a bit more effective and we're maybe a bit more space to operate in.
Harry, that maybe brings up, so Spot, I'm coming to Spot's point first on Twitter. Why did none of our forwards know how to score a goal? And do you think that's intrinsically linked to what Craig's talking about, that we get, maybe it is a little bit predictable? Maybe if you even take it back to the Livingston game where, we probably, I don't know how many crosses we put in, but it felt like we must have put, I genuinely think might have crossed the ball 20 plus times between cutbacks and deeper crosses against Livingston. Do you think it's then harder for the strikers to find space in the box and stuff because teams know they'll get the ball wide, so they pat the box in preparation for that? Or do you think it's something else that maybe the strikers are lacking confidence? Or
I think the Livingston game, I think it was just a team that, I think sometimes if you keep a clean sheet for longer, like you just have the belief that you can keep going. So I think it was just a team that was sitting really deep, trying to kind of keep us out. My dad likes to call it anti-football, is what Livingston were doing. Then Motherwell, like, I don't know, they seem like the type of team that we should actually do well against, because they play relatively high line and they tend to try and keep the ball. So in theory, they should be there to get at and get behind. But I don't know, it's just, I just feel that not really utilising our players to the best of their abilities. Like, it feels like we use Elding and Shuto as target men, and I just don't think that either of them are really up for that yet.
Did you think we went overly direct at the weekend?
I think so.
Okay.
I just don't think it was just boring. Like, I just don't really get what we were trying to do. Like,
you say you don't get what that. Just hear me out, right? So we know that Motherwell are going to try and. No, I'm just asking you a question. I'm not.
You said hear me out, and I didn't say anything.
So you said that you don't know what we're trying to do. So, but you just mentioned that Motherwell play a higher line. They'll try and press you high. So then, do you not try and then go a little bit more direct, where, you know, if you then go direct with a little bit of quality, obviously involved in it as well, you can kind of get the wrong side of them quickly. In terms of, you know, you can maybe get McGrath running beyond their midfielder, and you might find yourself 2-on-2 in terms of Boyle and Soto up against Welsh and McGinn. Do you know what I mean? Like, do you think that might have been the?
I get what you're saying, but it's like, obviously I'm not in the training ground. I don't know if Shuto gets balls pinged up to him and he consistently pings it over the top for Boyle to run onto, and that's why we thought it's going to be a great idea doing this away to Motherwell. But I didn't see it. Like, the thing is, the way that Salinger kicks the ball, it seems to me that we want to ping it into Shuto or Elding when they're on the pitch to ideally flick it behind the player that's pressed them and get him behind. But I don't remember that happening once the entire game.
Mm-hmm.
It just felt like a lot of wasted balls, and then when it went wide to Abita again, it felt like a lot of wasted balls in the channel. That's the main word for me is just wasteful. Like, it just didn't really feel like we had too much of a structured plan of what we actually wanted to achieve. It was just kind of, we had the first element of what we wanted to do, but it didn't seem like we could execute what the next plan was after that.
Or could it almost be too structured? Like, this is what I've been told that, you know, this is how we're going to beat them. Like as opposed to someone I spoke about last week with Jamie McGrath being like, just go and take someone on or just go and beat them. Like, maybe it, like Craig said, taking the safety off and someone taking that deeper, like Obita getting the ball at left centre back and cutting inside as we've seen him do and sort of driving up the pitch, or Nicky Cadden coming in. Like, it did feel a lot for me at the weekend, Craig, just very, like you mentioned, very, very predictable. And it's hard to say the strikers aren't scoring when ultimately you're talking one chance with a couple half chances in there.
But so I know you said Craig's name there, but like, it's similar to what Craig said earlier. To be unpredictable and to make people, you have to have people to take risks. Like, I love Nicky Cadden, but he's not the type of player that I would consistently give the ball to and expect him to take men on. And as much as O'Hora did have space at the weekend, he's not like Effie Ambrose, where I would expect him to carry the ball into the middle of the park and kind of cause mayhem, because the thing is that's so good about marauding centre backs is teams just don't account for it. Like, if you've got a player that can take the ball,
we done it well last year, but you know, like with Miller and Iredale.
Aye, for sure. Or even like a Triantis, who from like defensive mid, obviously Barlasser's good at pinging the ball about, but he's not the type of player that's going to carry the ball 15 yards forward and then
maybe like Muller
pass when he starts getting pressed.
Point there, like what Josh.
Exactly. Like what Craig touched on, and like it's something that we could potentially see Chaiwa do. There was one point where he picked the ball up on the edge of their box and done a Chaiwa where he like ran for about 10 yards, and I was like, how on earth has he still got the ball? But we need to start getting him doing that from deeper positions. I think he's been really good off the ball, and he's been good at like keeping the ball moving, but he's got such a power when he actually drives with the ball. I just think it's something we need to see more out of him. We need dynamic action coming from Hibernian football players on the ball.
That's actually generally like my whole sentiment with what I'm saying, is just a wee bit more off the cuffness, a wee bit more dynamism, a wee bit more sort of personality and expression in a play. There was one turn that Nicky Cadden done in the second half, which I said, and he fakes the boy out. I mind Hoylett used to actually do that quite a lot. Liam will be fuming that I've mentioned his name, but where he does the wee fake back and he just drops his shoulder and sends the defender, and then runs down the wing. Just more things like that. Just a wee bit expression, a wee bit of personality. Just be a bit more creative.
I think you summed up perfectly in the first minute, Craig. Just it was a bit safe.
It was safe, but also we do. I think it's important to recognise that you are up against a good Motherwell side, a very organised Motherwell side, and everybody's said all year how good they are. And I think we maybe are guilty ourselves of, obviously you want to focus on yourself, like your own team, and say what you've done well and what you've done bad. But I think it would be unfair to not recognise that you're up against another team that's certainly Motherwell has done excellent this season, but they're off the back of 2 losses, so they would have been coming into this game extremely focused on not losing the game, and I think you've probably seen that in their performance because they weren't as front foot as they normally are, maybe in an attacking sense, and I don't think they took as many risks, but I think that was maybe probably down to them looking to shore it up and they have in the back of their minds and the knowledge, maybe even at the front of their minds, that a draw suits them perfectly. A draw really does kind of the job for them. I think they probably had a lot of the ball, but didn't really do too much with it. And I feel that it felt anyway, certainly in the second half, that we had a lot more ball in their area and a bit more threat than they did, but ultimately just not enough. But yeah, but the point that I'm trying to make is that we do need to recognise that there's another good team on the park that's trying to stop us doing what we're wanting us to do, if you know what I mean.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, totally. Look, we'll just sort of where we'll go from here, unless there's anything just come in and say it. But I don't think there's much more to say about the actual 90 minutes. So we'll just talk through some of the different points that we've had come in the chat and in the WhatsApp and stuff today.
My final talking points from the game. I have some good performances to mention. I thought Rocky was good. I thought O'Hora was good. I thought Elding off the bench when he was randomly turning into a defensive midfielder, popping the ball about the place, I thought was fun. I thought Paslak was impressive again. And that's my list of players I think had good performances. Not to say anybody had particularly bad performances. I think some people weren't quite at it, but everybody has those days. Everybody makes mistakes. I actually snuck on this whilst you two weren't looking. But yeah, I do think that when games are born and performances are meh, people don't praise the defensive players in the team.
No, that's what I was saying. I think there was a lot of chatting about Obita, but at the end of the day, like I would be hesitant to say the manager got it wrong when you've kept a clean sheet against the team. I think if that game finishing 0-0, it's not. I think to most people the surprise isn't that Motherwell have kept another clean sheet at home. The surprise is probably that Motherwell haven't went and scored goals. And I do think you have to at least give Hibs credit for that. And I said after the game on Saturday, I stand by it. I think if a team edged it, it was us. Well, I'm sure Motherwell fans probably find the same on their side, but I did think Hibs edged it ever so slightly. But yeah, let's run through some of these talking points. So John said, as I said plenty of times before, love David Graham, not calling for him to go, but where's the plan B and C that he spoke about early on? As he said, we're becoming so predictable to everyone. That is a good point. David Gray said it would be like we would adapt to whoever we're playing, because he referenced that. I think at the time he said going up to Ross County isn't the same as playing Celtic at home, or that sort of thing. Yeah, all season we've seen, I think bar one game potentially at Falkirk for 45 minutes, we've seen some form of variation of a back three. At the start of the season it was sort of 3-4-3 with split tens, and then quite quickly back to a 3-5-2. And I mean, I think John's right to highlight that, Craig. That is what David Gray said at the start of his tenure, that's what we would be. Are you surprised we haven't seen anything different, really?
I do think we are quite rigid in the way we play it. I vividly remember, like you say, the word he kept using was adaptability when he first came in. And we are quite rigid, if we're being honest. We do play similarly pretty much every week. I wouldn't mind to see us to try something different. We've only really experimented or teased doing anything different, maybe in friendlies or when we're 2-0 down at Falkirk away. I feel like that's the main times we've really changed it. And to be fair, you could argue maybe off the Falkirk example that it didn't work because we ended up losing another 2 goals after it.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be of any harm to try something different every now and then, to be fair. I can't think that anything catastrophic is going to happen off the back of changing from 3 at the back to 4 at the back. At the end of the day, you've still got 11 players in the park. They're just in ever so slightly different positions to where they were before. I think maybe there's a wee bit of, you guys kind of know where I sit on it. I think people focus a bit too much on it. It's still 11 and they're just in slightly different positions on the park, so I don't think it actually has too much impact.
I think if you look at Saturday's opponents, when you see like the patterns of play and the shape and their confidence that their managers installed in them. I think obviously they have some real star quality in terms of Masfinisi and Just, but you've seen Paul McGinn and Stephen Welsh being split centre backs on the halfway line at the weekend. Like it does have a part to play. But I'm just going to maybe ask you this a little bit off the cuff, and if he's can't really.
Sorry, Ewan. Sorry, can I just interrupt there? Just with that point that you're making about ask you, I should have come in quicker there before you started your next point, but it's more so I think if you listen to a lot of the Motherwell players, Halliday talking about it a lot, I think more of what he's got out of them is more simple than just the tactics that he's put in. I think it's a lot more about belief, and he puts a lot of belief in his players and encouragement that if they make mistakes, it's fine. And I think that there's maybe more than just tactics there. I think that's a good bit of man management as well that's contributing to that more so than just this is the way we play. I think it's they're not confident just because of the system. They're confident because of the belief that the manager has in them.
Yeah, of course.
Sorry,
No, it's fine. I was just going to say to you, so if we're going into an international break, Hibs aren't playing for 2 weeks. You've heard managers in the past say, time on the grass, blah blah blah. So if David Gray was to do something different, lining up against Kilmarnock, let's say it's a back four with some then variation of something going forward, 4-2-3-1, 4-3-3, whatever. See, just simply, what would you think would be our first two centre backs? Who, if we were to go to a flat four, who would you play centre back, for instance, and build up from there? What do you think could work?
With my choice for the rest of the season, I honestly wouldn't. If you want me to go with a hypothetical that I don't believe in, I'm happy to give an answer. But I don't think we've got the squad build up to. We'd have to play a right-sided player at left centre back, and I don't.
So you wouldn't play yes, there would be no consideration to Jack Iredale left centre back.
I don't know. I think a lot of what Jack does is his versatility, and I just don't think that playing at left centre back in a four, I don't think his strengths would be utilised. I think that I know that,
and he is always the player that comes off as well. If we are taking a centre back,
I know that Gray gets criticised for being rigid, but I think the squad that we've got. I think it's difficult. I don't think that anything. If we set up in a back four, it would have to be because of massive volumes of injury for me. Otherwise, I think it'd be a stupid decision to go to a back four with a squad.
See, it's interesting because that's kind of where I thought the conversation would go. I thought we'd get there a little bit later than just talking about the centre backs purely. But
we don't have wingers either. Our best winger doesn't get in the squad anymore. There's one player at this club that proves he's an out-and-out winger, and Boyle, I don't think with the way he seems to have lost a couple of yards of pace, I don't think he'd do well on the wing. But Ellie Yuan's the only out-and-out winger at the club. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I would agree with you. I would agree with you. This is the thing. I think we've spoke about it a lot this season. I do think we've got a lot of quality in the squad, but it's lacking. I think it does actually lack that alternate to actually change it up. Jane Sandy, just on that point though, Harry, Jane Sandy mentions that Rudy could play wide, and Jay Star's mentioned that Nicky's an out-and-out winger. I think that's an interesting point. Nicky Cadden probably is a left winger, but for me, and this is just in my opinion, I think wingers should really, really be good at squaring people up one-on-one, and I would want them. I think Nicky Cadden actually benefits from being a left wing back. I think he's much more productive in that role than he would be further forward as a left winger. I think the higher up the pitch he would, in terms of a starting position, perhaps he doesn't then always get. No, sometimes he just naturally just finds himself with that 5 yards of space to put that early cross in the box. I don't know. I'm not convinced that Nicky Cadden would be wholly effective. Let's say it was a 4-3-3. I wouldn't feel comfortable with Nicky Cadden as my left forward in a 4-3-3 for argument's sake.
No, I think Nicky Cadden's strength as well is hitting those crosses from slightly deeper for players to run onto. I don't know. I don't really see him as a hit the byline and cut it back across the box. And then on Rudy, just from what I've seen of him at Hibs, he's very rarely played on the wing at Hibs, does he? He's typically kind of in that roaming position where he's got the freedom to kind of pick up spaces wherever he thinks he can find them.
I think he's as well.
If he is a winger, then fair enough. Happy to hold my hands up. But
I've got to slightly disagree with you regarding Nicky Cadden. I think he could easily play a left wing. easily.
Okay. So Craig, let's just go back to the
don't mind
initial
them when he
question.
faces a player up.
So Craig, let's go back to that initial point then that John made about different options. Then, do you think that we've got the makeup in the squad to do something different? And if you do, what do you think that could look like?
I definitely we've got a big squad. We've got more than enough players. They're professional footballers. They could play slightly out of position other than their favourite position if we wanted to try something differently. I'd agree that it's not that our squad isn't best suited. Our squad is definitely built and best suited for a 3-5-2 or 5-3-2 or whatever it is. But I also think we've got good enough players there to try something different.
So, in your opinion, the only reason we are rigid is because of David Gray, and the coaching staff, I suppose. If you don't want to pin it on one man.
Well, obviously, it's ultimately it's down to David Gray and the coaching staff because they're the guys that pick the tactics. Nobody else does. So I feel like that's a pretty obvious one, to be honest, Harry.
But you think if we still had someone in the ilk of like Paul Hanlon, who's like kind of out and out, you can trust him in the back in a back four as a left centre back. You don't think we would have experimented with a back four at any point?
Pass, mate. Pass. I'm not in David Gray's head, so I don't know why he's not doing it or not trying it. He's obviously got something that he's not too confident about. But I'd give it a go. I'd give it a go just to try something different, whether it's for half a game or for a full game from the start, whatever. I think it's worth a go.
Just a couple other comments have come in on this one. So Max has mentioned about trying to back the manager, not had managers in the door for long enough to get, to really like build and get their own players in. Remy said Yuan was the most dangerous and effective player until all the new guys came in. Now he doesn't get off the bench and it's weird. I mean, look, it was like for 3 games. Like, I'm not like it was just a handful of games. He was effective though, and for whatever reason he's dropped out the side. I was surprised that he wasn't on the bench at the weekend, and I was extra surprised he didn't come on against Livingston. But look, we spoke about that last week. For whatever reason, it's going to be the end of Yuan's Hibs career, and there is going to be large spells of it where he's been super effective, and equally large spells where he actually just hasn't had a kick. And each to their own to try and figure out where that is. J-Star has mentioned a back four of Paslak, O'Hora, Rocky, and Obita could work. Yeah, I mean, why? Maybe that's a fine, absolutely maybe.
Slightly, I would be slightly nervous about O'Hora and Rocky together. Because I don't know which one of them you're playing left centre half.
So is there a combination of our centre backs? And I suppose that's maybe the question that Harry was asking, Craig, that you wouldn't feel like
that. I would probably feel more confident just with one of them being left-sided. I feel like you really kind of need that
so you're
balance.
Talking Iredale plus one.
Yeah, I would probably go Iredale and O'Hora at the moment. Okay. We played Hanley at left centre half. I think that was in a 3 maybe. Right after he came in against
Kelly. I
was
really uncomfortable.
I fucking disagree, mate. I disagree. I remember you saying that after the game, and I just don't think he did look that uncomfortable. The Kelly game at the start of
the season,
I don't think he looked that uncomfortable personally. I don't think he looked like he was absolutely sparkling, but also
he was squirming. He was squirming. He couldn't stand it.
I would just with that.
I think he's a professional and has been around the block.
This would have also been his first or second start for Hibs, maybe as well.
Yeah.
After not, the.
No, I think he was fine at the club. It was just when he was on the left. Honestly, just didn't look right.
Whatever.
Anyway, yeah. So look,
I think that was in you and Liam's heads that he didn't, because it was Hanley on the left hand side somehow, just because he wasn't able to play fucking pinging channel balls on his left foot, then that made him look uncomfortable when all he done was just pass it to somebody else.
I just think what Hanley should do anyway. When he went to the middle of the 3 compared to what it was at the left. It's just the eye test.
Right, let's move on from that. Right, so Leon mentioned in our chat, now I'm going to reword this a little bit, but basically Leon suggested, seems like the season's over chat has grown even more so from the weekend and every time we don't win. We spoke last week about maybe it being a must-win game, and I have to say, coming out the ground, I sort of felt, I think that's the opportunity gone, for sort of capitalising on 4th. However, you take a step back from it, Motherwell's next 2 games are Falkirk at home and Hearts away, and we play 2 bottom 6 sides in Killie and Aberdeen. So there is still opportunity pre-split that you would think that if Hibs take 6 points, You would expect Motherwell to drop points in the 2 games, probably, Craig, would you say?
Sorry, mate. I was totally distracted by somebody else suggesting that Rocky should play up front in the chat. You'll need to go to Harry on that one because I completely missed the question. I was too busy thinking about Rocky.
It just basically just saying that this Leon mentioned the season's over. Chat Saints felt it's sort of growing. I certainly almost started to feel that way coming out of the game. I spoke last week about it being maybe a must-win game. Then you look at it and you look at Motherwell's fixtures. They've got Falkirk at home and Hearts away before the split, Harry, whereas we play 2 bottom 6 sides. So if Hibs can get back to winning ways and take 6 points out of the 2 games, the gap's probably smaller. I think Motherwell will drop points at least one of the games, probably.
No, Motherwell winning both those games. We'll win both of ours, and then we'll keep pumping teams and get ahead of them in the split. Perfect.
Okay, so you're not like, but I know why you're saying that. But do you actually think that we can still capitalise and take over from Motherwell in 4th place?
I think what we need to do is we just need to play better and more entertaining football, get a couple of goals, and people will feel less depressed.
That's not the question I asked you. I asked, what do you think? Because I asked, what do you think?
See, the thing is, you're allowed to ask questions for 2 minutes straight, but I'm not allowed to answer for 2 minutes straight. Let's come on here. So, Hibs are in a situation, it's unlikely we're going to catch Motherwell. I think it's unlikely that Falkirk are going to catch us given the goal difference. And same with Motherwell ahead of us. So, for me, Hibs just need to win football games and score goals. Like, if we somehow catch Motherwell, amazing, great, terrific. Shouldn't probably happen. It takes a collapse from them, takes something great from us. I'm not arsed about the season being over, chat. We've got games left in the season. Let's play them and win them. That's my viewpoint on it. And I just think let's not put unrealistic goals and be unsatisfied if we don't meet them. Let's just finish 5th at least.
You've changed your tune a lot since Saturday at 5:30.
Craig, Harry, you have a go at Craig for sitting on the fence a lot. I asked you, do you think we'll overtake Motherwell or not? You didn't say yes or no.
I said it's unlikely. So I said let's just play football games and win them.
It's unlikely, so you're not committing to yes or no. I'm just saying you have a go at Craig for being a fence sitter. Our Hibs going to overtake Motherwell.
I don't know.
Oh, see, he's deflected, Craig. That's why I tried to interject earlier. I knew he was just taking us down a garden path of no answer. So, Harry, Craig, I'll just pose the same question to you. Do you think Saturday kind of marked the end of our sort of opportunity for 4th place and putting Europe in our own hands?
In all likelihood, yes. But it's obviously, there's still a faint hope of it. I think we were trying to work out, we obviously need to focus on, you need to beat Motherwell in the reverse fixture after the split, and then you're still 3 points off, and a worse goal difference. I think, don't know that for certain. I'm just assuming they have a better goal difference. So then there's 2 results. So I think in the next 2 games before the split, if we're going to catch them, we need to beat them by 1 result, if you like. So they win 1 and we win 2, basically. And then you've got a better chance, because I think after the split it's going to be very difficult, isn't it? Because you're going to be up against all the big dogs in the league, so it's going to be difficult to get too much by way of points. But also Motherwell could find it very difficult as well. So you never know, but I would say it's looking very, very unlikely. Yes.
So I think all 3 of us are probably certainly leaning towards like 5th place is the most likely outcome for us. And Harry, so Kev asked in the WhatsApp chat earlier. So would finishing 5th and qualifying for Europe through the back door obviously that'd be a Celtic Cup win. Deem this season successful / acceptable. What do you think about that?
If we get Europe in back-to-back seasons, we're fucking class. Like, there's no debate about it. People need to get, like, we've been alive for almost 30 years. And how many times have Hibs qualified for Europe back-to-back?
I might be wrong, but I think it would be off the top of my head, it's the first time since Tony Mowbray, so it would be over 20 years.
Like, I'm sorry, but where do we get these stupid expectations? As I say, going into every season, the minimum should be after a quarter of the season, it should be all right, we've avoided relegation, what's next? And then it should be minimum top 6. And then if you finish top 6 in our lifetime, that's a good season for Hibs. Like, let's get this. So, like, obviously that shouldn't be the be all and end all. But if we get Europe in back-to-back seasons, it's fucking great. I'm sick of fans being like, "Oh, fifth is accepting mediocrity. We need to get rid of David Gray and actually challenge Hearts for the title." It's not how football fucking works. Like, if we get fifth after finishing third, but see, the thing is, we're going to finish fifth. Celtic are going to fuck it because we're the only team that gets fucked by the Scottish Cup European split every time.
What is the generation that's driving the sort of perception on success on what a season is like and the accepted mediocrity? Because unless you're like, it can't be the young team, because the young team have just seen us being shite all the time, or maybe they're just unrealistic. Unless you're in like Liam's generation of the famous five or whatever, then you're not really driving that, are you?
No, I think it's interesting though, because I think the wording that Kevin's used is notable. So successful / acceptable, and I think, Harry, whilst I agree with 90% of what you've said, I don't think finishing fifth and qualifying for Europe over someone else's cup success paired with our own failings in the cup makes it a successful season, but I think it makes it acceptable. Do you know, like, especially when you pair that with the fact that last season we finished third, when you think that you have to build on things, and I think a consolidation season, if you want to call that, is important. And the number one thing, I think David Gray has lifted, and this isn't to go into a David Gray chat, but I think at no point this season have we looked like a team that will not finish in the top five. And do you know, if fifth is now our floor with this manager, then that in itself is successful. Because it's not so long ago that you have to look at a team under Nick Montgomery or a team under Sean Maloney that looked powder puff and destined for bottom six. A team under Lee Johnson at the start of the season that looked like genuine relegation candidates. A team with Jack Ross that went from finishing third fairly comfortably to being bottom six for the entirety of a season. I think if you can like solidify your floor as that at that sort of upper echelons of the league, that has to be acceptable. And then, you know, what you do in the cup or what you do in that European competition from the year before, maybe that's actually what defines the level of success. Does that make sense? I think fifth is where Hibs. I think it's acceptable for Hibs to finish fifth, but I don't know if it's a success.
Of course, it's acceptable for Hibs to finish fifth. Anybody saying otherwise is at it, or just doesn't really actually understand how this league is structured and how it works. Because we're about the fifth biggest budget in Scotland, I would imagine. We're bound to be pretty close to it. So I think fifth is definitely acceptable, and I would say this season, if it continues in the ilk that it's going just now, by the time you get to the end, I would probably class it as a decent or a solid season. Solid. We've not been brilliant and we've not been terrible. I think it's been decent. It's been okay. I had some of the best times watching Hibs at the start of the season, which, although it was a long time ago, is still this season. So I think that's important to not forget that we had some very, very good European nights and days, and results as well. Important to note as well. Some of the results that we had were very, very good against some top teams. It's disappointing that we haven't done that more often this season. But I think sometimes that's maybe just the way it goes. And look, what you kind of say there is a consolidation season. If we finish third and then fifth in the next season, that's pretty good. That's pretty decent for us.
I just think when you're having a relatively stale league campaign, if you like it, where because that's what I would say, is there's not been super loads of highs in terms of the league campaign. There's also not been that many lows. You know, it's been win a couple, draw a couple, lose one. You know, like that's that. You know, there's not been that mad long unbeaten run or that week that we had last season of the 3 big wins coupled in. I think in seasons like this, that's just where going, like the Dunfermline game is an absolute killer. You know, going out at Ibrox in the League Cup fairly early, that's like, you know, they are things that matter and impact probably the overall perception. If Hibs finished fifth, if we were exactly where we were in the league now, but we had a Scottish Cup semi-final to look forward to, I don't think any of this conversation is taking place.
I think one of the many factors that's maybe driving a bit of this discontent is that just the feeling of what could have been and the feeling that we could have had a wee bit more this season. We definitely could have had a bit more this season, and I don't think it's been a season that's really got people too excited. But I think definitely we're better where we are just now than where we have been in the past. Like you say, if this is the flow, then I think we can be quite content with that. We don't need to celebrate finishing fifth or anything like that, but I think we can be content with it.
Yeah, like there's absolutely there's land in between everything being a disaster, sack the manager, and everything being fucking amazing. Oh my god, like there's nothing we can improve on, and that's
Like,
right where we are. Like,
I'd love to get to the stage with Gray where we're that comfortable in finishing third and fourth every season, like McInnes was at Aberdeen, that we're happy enough to move on from and try and see what happens next. You know what I mean? Like, Hibs fans just need to grow up. That's the main thing. Like, let's just enjoy. Whilst it's not bad, let's just try and enjoy it.
There's other teams in the league. We're still our fan base is going on about how we expect to finish third in that, but there's 3 or 4 other teams that are also saying they expect to finish third. So a bit of perspective.
Of course, yeah, of course. Boys, I'm going to just wrap this up with a little teaser question for you, and I'm just. I'm curious to see, and Harry, I know there's something you want to talk about after this as well. When do you think the last time Hibs had back-to-back 0-0 draws were in a league game? Just give me a year.
Was it top flight?
It was. I'll give you a clue. It was much more recent than you would think. I think your head.
Sorry, some Hearts fan just commented and Ewan's just fucking banned them for the chat. That's hilarious. Sorry. I'll say 2023.
Okay.
I won't go too far back.
I guess. Are you saying, sorry, is that 23, 24 or 22, 23?
Okay, I just picked a year, mate. You can pick specifically.
Well, I'm picking 22, 23.
Well, you're both wrong. It was March 2022, I believe. So that would have been
21, 22.
21, 22. It was. No, wait. Is that COVID season?
No, COVID would have been 2021.
Aye. So it was. I'll tell you when. It was 21, 22. Sorry, and we drew 3 games in a row. It was March 2022. Can you think? Does it ring any bells? You know, Sean Maloney ball never looked like scoring a goal for forever and a day.
Dundee United.
No, we drew 0-0 at home at Celtic. Then we went to Dundee and drew 0-0, and then we drew 0-0 at home at St Johnstone. We followed that up by a 3-1 scudded off Aberdeen, a draw with Dundee United,
Jesus,
and then back-to-back defeats against Hearts, and then Sean Maloney got his jotters.
See, that sounds crap.
That's shite.
That sounds crap.
That's shite.
But you know what doesn't sound crap, guys? You know what doesn't sound crap? Hibernian Football Club winning the 2016 Scottish Cup. It's coming up for the 10-year anniversary of when we hoisted that wonderful trophy. Friend of the podcast, Isaac Cullen, has written a book where he's spoken to a lot of fans and their journey throughout Hibs' road to...
That's Callan, I think.
See, the thing is, bite me. Anyway, he speaks to fans, including our wonderful Liam, I believe, about what they were up to on certain days and stuff. You can pre-order, and now it's coming out in May. It's available on book or ebook. We'll link in the section below how you can place your own order.
You're going to do that.
Sure. But just give a random memory, ideally not of the final, just because that's too obvious. Any memory from the Scottish Cup extravaganza?
10 years on. I think I don't know if I mentioned it on pod before. I never went on the pitch. By the time I'd stopped greeting in my seat and actually got back on my feet, the 2 mates that I was with had bailed and were on the pitch, so I stayed in the stand with one of my mates, his sister and his mum and his dad, and that we were with. So yeah, I wasn't on the pitch because I was too busy greeting my eyes out.
Harry, I could be wrong. I thought you said not about the final.
I did, mate. But if you want to mention the final, okay, we can talk about the final. It's all good.
That's a bit embarrassing.
Sorry, I thought you just said like not specifically about like the game or something, a random.
Whatever.
Apologies.
My one would be a game that I actually wasn't at in that run, Inverness away. Hard place to go. Hard place to go and win.
Wednesday night after the League Cup final.
All right, so I've asked you for memories of not the final, and Ewan said a memory from the final.
A memory from the final, Craig's.
Yeah, Craig's
Don't say the memory.
not a memory.
Well,
so
no,
that
I
was
still remember it.
That was...
Don't have to be there to remember it.
Anyway, I've not even got for legal reasons. I was not on the pitch at the final. That's probably. I would be. I don't think I'll ever be able to scientifically prove that, but that's probably the most hugs I've ever given and received in the same day was the Scottish Cup final. Just everybody was just full of love that day, wasn't it? As I've said it on the pod before, but my favourite moment was after I got off the supporters bus when I got back in Edinburgh. It was just hearing literally Hibs fans everywhere in all different directions chanting. It was fucking class. Literally.
Sorry, am I getting shite for talking about after the final?
And then I
decided to talk about after the final.
because I called you and I said I'll just do the same thing. But I thought it was class. I just walked off the bus at Princes Street and everybody was just chanting Hibs chants. It was quality. Good vibes. But anyway, if you want to remember those good vibes, Hibernian Heroes, you'll find a link in the description. Please get involved.
And that is us for 2 weeks' time. So we will be back after the Kilmarnock game, hopefully reviewing Hibs getting back to winning games of football and going 6 games unbeaten as we go to close out the season on another fantastic unbeaten run, I'm sure. Yes, thank you very much for joining us, and we will be back soon. Cheers.